Okay, hello everyone, both in person and online. So you will all recognize that I am not Angie Hill-Price. She is on her way back from Austin after giving testimony to the Texas Higher Ed Subcommittee, Senate Higher Education Subcommittee. So hopefully she will be here before 4 p.m. That's what her GPS is telling her at the current time. So, welcome to the fifth meeting of the 42nd session of the Faculty Senate of Texas A&M University. If you're attending the university virtually and need a reminder of the Zoom features used in our Sunday meeting, the Zoom tip sheet can be found on our website at the top of the current agenda page. At this time, please make sure your microphones are muted. For those on Zoom, Secretary Tarvin will be monitoring the Zoom raise hands function. You'll be called upon first before others in the room. You will need to verbally identify yourself, then you can unmute your mic and ask your questions. In fairness to others, please limit yourself to one question at a time. Secretary Tarvin will also be monitoring the chat to convey messages as necessary, so please send any chat questions directly to him. We are using the registration function of Zoom to track our attendance today. Most visitors today have been asked to view the meeting via our live stream, but our guests and administrators who may be asked to answer questions are joining us in person or via Zoom. Visitors wishing to address the Senate may make the request by sending a chat message to Senator Klein or using the raised hands function. And since I'm substituting for Angie, send everything to David here because I can't multitask that well. Finally, if a senator wishes to offer a motion during today's meeting, please raise your hand at the appropriate time and ask to be recognized. So today we do not have a guest speaker, so I'm going to move on to approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections to the October 14th meeting minutes found in attachment A? Anybody on Zoom see any hands raised? Hearing none, I then declare the minutes approved as distributed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions or concerns on the November 11th consent agenda items? Anything in the chat or hands raised online? Okay. Hearing no questions or concerns, I declare the November 11th consent agenda approved as presented. Don't believe we have any unfinished business. So we will now move on to committee reports. Does anyone have any questions or concern with the core curriculum committee annual report found in attachment C? Hearing none, I declare the core curriculum committee report approved as submitted. We have one item of new business, and that has to do with the graduate faculty guidelines revision, which is attachment D in your handout. I believe we had that come up as an informational item last month, and we're ready to vote on it today. But since we have the Dean of the Graduate and Professional School, Dr. Fui Tong, I'd like her to come to the mic and she can have and then address any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker-elect Klein. I just wanted to maybe provide a little bit of context of our updates for the GradCom guideline, and then happy to take any questions that our faculty senators have. So first of all, there's no significant policy changes. The whole effort was based on multiple questions that we have received from faculty, from the departments on what to do with faculty leaving the university, when what happens when the departments remove faculty from the GradCom, the implications of that on student committees, the different types of memberships, are they eligible to do XYZ? And we found our current guideline, there are some information that are mixed together even though they belong to different categories. And so this effort is just really trying to provide more clarity, consistency, and also alignment with the faculty guidelines or the Faculty Affairs Office guideline on the faculty titles. So it's more an update and just to provide more clear information for easy reference and readability. And I think our current version has some ambiguity in there, and that leaves rooms for different interpretations and also ambiguity. And so on the cover page, you see that there are some major sections that we are making the updates. One is the general terms of the membership. And so for faculty on the two different scenarios that we had a discussion with the Faculty Affairs, for faculty who are on approved leave of absence, there's a requirement for the department to submit the memo if the faculty continues to remain as a chair, and the department has to also verify that the chair is able to continue providing advising to the students, so there's no delay on the students. Then the separate section is on faculty on voluntary separation from the university. And then there are two options, and one option is the student needs to be near completion, and we kind of put up a time frame as up to 1 year, and then there will be additional approval needed. And then for that the voluntary separation, that there are two options. The one is if the faculty remains at the chair, and then the student identifies a co-chair, that there's no additional requirements, or there's no additional request from the department. But the second option, if the faculty remains as a sole chair and there's no identified co-chair, then there needs to be a memo coming from the department for approval for the faculty to continue as the sole chair for the student to help the student complete. The second section is we also in alignment with the Faculty Affairs Office, there's in addition to our tenure track faculty, APT faculty, there's the third category, which is the temporary or part-time faculty. In that category, there's one group, which is the senior associate professor and a senior professor. So this is the group in consultation with the Faculty Affairs. These are the faculty who have already accrued tenure at Texas A&M, and they are on their way, transitioning into part-time, typically within a 3-year of retirement. So for adding this category, considering who they are and where they are in terms of their career, if they're already chairing an existing committee, we would allow the committee or allow the faculty to continue as the chair to help the students finish. But the expectation is not for this group of faculty to take on any new committees. I think that was the question or clarification point from Speaker Enterprise Hill the other time, I think last month when we presented this. I think there were some questions coming from some of our senators, and that was not the intention. So we went back to GPC, and GPC approved the additional revision of the eligibility for senior associate professor and senior professor for their eligibility to chair of any existing committees before their transition into the temporary or part-time title. Then the next page is we also separated. Currently, we have 3 sections under the general membership term. And then some of these groups are kind of mixed together between our, tenure track faculty and then APT faculty in Qatar. We also have our APT faculty and professional staff together in one section, but they have different eligibility criteria. So in this updated document, we separate this into 5 different sections. So section 1 is the tenure track faculty plus the senior associate professor and a senior professor. The second is our TAMUQ APT faculty because of the different routing, and that's at the request of TAMUQ campus and also supported by College of Engineering and also the Faculty Affairs Office. And that's actually the practice, just not reflected in the document. Section C is our APT faculty at Texas A&M, and then section D is our temporary part-time faculty and also our professional staff. They have the same eligibility criteria, so we move that into section D. And then section E, there's no change, is the other faculty and professional staff hired by outside Texas A&M or other organizations. And then we also just provided further clarity on the approving process, and particularly when there's an annual update that we ask the departments to help us do to make sure that the faculty on the GradCom are still eligible to serve on graduate committees. And so that happens sometimes when a faculty retires or leave the university and the faculty doesn't serve on any active committees of students in that department, then the department would go in and remove the eligibility of the faculty to serve. without verifying, the faculty might still be an external member for students from other departments. So we're just adding kind of a reminder, before the removal, please verify the active committee membership across the university. And there's a way how you can pull the report from Compass to do that. So we're just providing that clarification and reminder before the department removes faculty from the GradCom. So these are the major changes or updates from the current document. And we're happy to take questions or comments.
Questions?
I know it's a very long document, but hopefully it's actually easy reference. So you can just flip to the pages that you're looking for the information. So. Any questions on Zoom?
No, we don't.
Not seeing any. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your input early on and also for reading through the long document. Thank you.
I'm just trying to make sure we have a quorum right now. So just so everyone knows, it appears we have 96 people, both in person and online. So I believe that meets our quorum requirements, correct? Parliamentarian. So with that said, all those in favor of attachment D, please raise your hands both in person and online and we'll count. I have 28 in the room. So how many is that? Speaker Tarvin? 28. So we have a majority in favor. The motion passes. Thank you very much. So is there any other new business? I see somebody at the mic.
Yes.
Sarah, would you like to go next?
Yes, please. Sarah Meismer, PVFA. Speaker-elect Klein, I would like permission to recognize my colleague, Dr. Claire Katz.
Certainly, Dr. Katz can come to the microphone. I believe our parliamentarian said under new business. We'll do new business.
I don't have new business. I just simply wanted to thank all of our colleagues who spoke at the Board of Regents meeting last week. And in particular, I wanted to also recognize Angie today, who's not here because she was testifying at the Senate Higher Education Subcommittee this morning, or actually, I guess she was testifying this afternoon. I believe that you can find the link for that or the clip for that once the testimony is finished. It'll be posted. I watched most of it live this morning through much of the afternoon, except when I had a meeting. I highly recommend that you watch this, that you, on the one hand, get inspired by people who are defending the university and what we do, and also understand what some of the arguments are and what some of the challenges are that we face as a faculty. So if you weren't there to see your colleagues last week, it was inspiring to see people from a variety of colleges and departments speak up. And then the Senate meeting today, you were watching, if you were watching, people from all over the state of Texas, some private citizens, some alums, all different kinds of universities speaking up in favor of what we do. So that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to thank everybody.
Before you leave the microphone, would you like to use this as an audience to talk about your new position and how you can serve our faculty? I'll put you on the spot.
In 5 minutes. So I'm Claire Katz. I am the new or inaugural Associate Provost for Faculty Advocacy. And Actually, at a meeting I went to today, somebody asked how in this position I might help with this. And I don't know that this position to each other, talk to our colleagues about why we are all in this together. This is not simply an issue for people in the humanities or people in the social sciences. This is an issue that's about the university and about university education, what education is and what it means, what the foundations of education are, what it means to be a student and be able to direct your education, what it means to be a faculty member and teach in the university. And so I think that this really is a time, I was thinking about other times when I've been here, when the university has been challenged. I was thinking about the 7 breakthrough solutions, if anybody remembers that, and how, I know it's a trigger for some people, I'm sorry. But what was really inspiring about that, even as challenging as that time was, how many faculty from across the colleges and across the campus came together to support and defend what we do in a land-grant university. And we need to remind ourselves continuously that this is a land-grant university, and written into the Morrill Act is not only the A and the M, but also the classical education. And it says it explicitly, and we need to defend that. This is what it means for people who are potentially economically challenged or geographically challenged to be able to provide an education for them also. So I just would remind people of that this is a time for us to come together and not hope that it's some other college that this is the target, but that we are all in this together and need to find ways to not only support what we do, but find ways to articulate it that in a way that other people will be persuaded about the importance of what we do. So do you want me to say more? I mean,
I just really want you to have an audience to tell you that you are new, whatever your role for faculty advocacy is. I'm sorry, I don't remember the official title, but she's a good resource is what I'm trying to let everyone know. So if you want to say anything about that exact position, that would be good too.
Sure. I mean, I sent out an email some time ago trying to provide a brief description and help distinguish it from the ombudsperson. As I've said in multiple places, I am not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. I don't play one here. The position is not intended to be a personal advocacy position, but rather one for the faculty as a whole. So I have had people come to me with individual issues, and in many cases, those issues point to a potential problem in a department as a whole. If somebody is unaware of how a process works, that will have an impact not only on that individual faculty member, but also on their whole department. Looking at things like workload and how that is a challenge across the campus. Thinking about things like this, that is a challenge across the campus and how we can come together to work on that. Looking at issues that are affecting remote faculty in particular, depending on where they are remotely, what's happening on those campuses. So I'm trying to look at not only things that an ombudsperson would look at, and not trying to step on John Buchanan's toes in that role, but rather look at things where there may be a pattern forming, and how I and the Office of Faculty Affairs can work with whoever is in the midst of that, whether it's a dean or a department head or a college, to help find ways through whatever that problem is so that that pattern is broken. Does that?
Yes,
Does that
thank you
help?
very much.
Yeah, sure.
So please see her if you have questions, right?
Yes, I'm literally right down the hallway. Our office is in 607 Rudder. So you can stop by after the Faculty Senate meeting.
Thank you,
Thank-
Dr. Katz. Does anyone else have any business for the whole? Or new business, excuse me. Would you like to say something about the bookstore working group?
Turn it this way and hope it gets bigger. Hi. Katrina Laporte, College of Arts and Sciences. I wanted to give everyone a little bit of an update on the newly rekindled bookstore committee. That's not going to stay there. All right, we'll just see if that works. On the newly rekindled bookstore committee, the newly rekindled bookstore committee has been given a new name. It's called the ERMMC, the Educational Resources, Material and Merchandising Committee. One of the first items of business on that committee as we met, I have been appointed as the Faculty Senate representative of this, and fortunately, Dr. David Baps will be joining me in the next meeting. On the first order of business when they met, Barnes & Noble pitched or wanted faculty feedback on First Day Complete. So what I did was I solicited feedback from faculty and curated that and provided it back to the bookstore committee. I want to share that curated feedback with you so that you all know what's going on with the bookstore and what they're pitching. As a part of a kind of like a background, I want to share with you that the bookstore is proposing to expand their equitable and inclusive access First Day program, and the First Day program takes two different guises. So in the First Day program by course is already existence at Texas A&M, and it's used by a few different, by 105 different courses and 357 sections and 21,968 students currently as of spring 2024. This is an opt-in program that's requested by the instructor of record, and it's linked in Canvas. The students opt in Canvas and they get their books and materials digitally automatically from the bookstore on the first day of class. Physical book content isn't included in the program. The pricing is by a course-by-course basis, and it varies by course. And First Day digital content price for course between 2022 and 2024 averaged at about $58.55 for one electronic resource. The charges automatically appear on the student record. Now, this is not what they're asking for feedback on. What they're asking for feedback on is First Day Complete, which is currently where I sought faculty input. If implemented, this program would automatically apply to all classes that students are enrolled in at the university. There's no change in the way faculty select or use materials for their course, ensuring academic freedom and choice, that's their words. This is an opt-out program. Students must physically opt out of the program in the Canvas registration system. If they do not opt out, they will be charged. Charges appear in the student's account. This is a fixed price per credit hour, $20 per credit hour for students based on how many credits they are taking each semester. For example, if they take 15 credits at $20, they're charged $300 to their student account. The student either opts into First Day Complete program for all their required course materials, or they opt out and source their own materials. So this is what they are pitching for us to engage in. So I curated the faculty feedback on this, and I want to read to you this executive summary that I provided to the ERMMC. Over a period of 9/10/2024 to 9/25/2024, faculty senators were asked to comment on the First Day Complete proposal offered by Barnes & Noble. This is the executive summary summarizing the feedback. Faculty were unanimous in opposing the First Day Complete program without additional information and independent data. For example, large programs, current costs of textbooks and homework packages versus the Barnes & Noble electronic textbook only. 2, faculty would want First Day Complete to be more flexible, allowing some courses to use OER materials from the library and/or other free cheap resources, and to not be included in the overall student credit hour calculation. 3, if adopted, faculty would want the First Day Complete to be an opt-in rather than an opt-out system. There are numerous logical and psychological rationales for this. The federal government is also considering changes to the cash management rules that would have required student opt-in as opposed to opt-out. 4, does the program include homework, lab materials, submission systems and similar? And the comment overarchingly was students do not read textbooks anymore. 5, there appears to be a disconnect between this proposal and recommendations from the University OER Committee, that's Open Education Resources, and the reporting methodologies for OER resources and textbook costs. 6, the proposal's methodology, terminology, and branding are confusing and to be somewhat appear to be somewhat predatory. The proposal lacks transparency. 7, there is a fear that some students would be subsidising or funding other students. Different majors have different average textbook costs. 8, the faculty have numerous questions and concerns about refunds, accessibility, sequence courses that reuse the same textbooks, loss of bargaining power, etc. And finally, 9, concerns about Bones & Noble's recent stock price volatility and the longevity of this program at the current price point of $20 per credit hour, especially considering proposed governmental regulation changes. So that was the report that along with all the uncurated comments that I provided to the ERMMC on the Faculty Senate's behalf. We will be meeting again at the beginning of December to further discuss this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katrina. And I think your approach in sending that form out to everybody worked actually rather well. So if you have any questions or comments, I'm sure she would love to hear them. So our speaker is still on her way. I'd hope to get us to Committee of the Whole when she's still here, when she gets here. But I guess we will continue on.
Speaker-elect Klein,
Yes,
can you hear me?
Speaker.
I'm
Speaker
pulling into the
Hill
garage
Price.
across the street. I'm pulling,
We tried. So if you didn't hear that, she's just coming across the street. So I'm going to use a
well,
couple
that's
minutes.
okay, because you could go ahead and go to Committee of the Whole, and we can take them back out if it necessary.
Okay, do you want to, okay, we will enter Committee of the Whole. Does anyone have anything for Committee of the Whole?
Howdy. Given the events of last week, I would like to state that one, it's important that whatever sort of enrollment hold there or freeze there was on the minors and certificates that are being inactivated, that departments be able to enroll students if they had been trying to pursue the coursework and simply had not formally enrolled in those minors and certificates, so that they can get those minors and certificates that they have completed coursework for, and simply had been following typical practice of not enrolling until near the end of their degree. The second request I would like to make is that if the provost office is going to expect particular guidelines for revisions to the programs that are being activated in order to resubmit them, that those guidelines, that clear, detailed guidelines are needed by many of these programs to be released as soon as possible, since I know that some programs are concerned because their minors or certificates are important with regards to helping students skip or replace certain licensing requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bapps. Those will certainly be taken forward to the appropriate administration. I believe we have some hands raised. Senator Haney has his hand raised, I believe is next.
Thank you, Speaker-elect Klein. I just wanted to update the Senate on the ongoing problems that we are encountering with education abroad. We are now to the point where recommendations have been made. They are waiting for the provost's approval to move forward. We have work groups that are set up, but until we get that sign off, we are in a holding pattern. Small programs continue to face problems with having our students subsidize the Department of EA, as well as the larger programs through services charged but are not actually being provided. And so that inequity continues until we get these things resolved. So I wanted to update the committee as a whole, or the Senate as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Haney. Senator Falvo has her hand up next.
Thank you. So I just wanted to give a brief informational item here that we as a college, the College of, let me see if I can get it right on the first go now that it's so new, Maritime Sciences, Marine Sciences and Maritime Studies. So no, working on it. We are looking at a draft on our campus of a policy called On-Campus Presence and Engagement. And I wanted to bring this to the attention of the Senate because we have been informed that this is actually on the directive of the Faculty Affairs Office and likely will be seen in all colleges in a different iteration. And it basically is a policy about when faculty are expected to be on campus and when they are expected to be available. And our draft of the policy says that faculty are expected to be on campus from 8 to 5 every day. There are some exceptions for remote work that is formalized with your department head, but this is understandably a very major change to our work patterns, and it is causing some response among faculty members. So we will be working on this as an internal document, but I wanted to let people know because I do believe that this directive means that all colleges will be having this conversation. And depending on how similar this document is, as it is requested that we adopt it, it may be a conversation for the Faculty Senate. And we'll determine that over time. But I just wanted to let people know that we as a caucus are looking at this in our college and that we will be working on this with our college and our constituents. Thank you.
Thank you to Senator Falvo. And just to reiterate what she said, that every college is supposed to be developing guidelines about remote work for their college. I know the College of Arts and Sciences has a very detailed document. If you're unaware if your college is doing it, I would recommend you talk to the appropriate people because, and we might want to share them when they're available, because I think, as you mentioned, there might be quite considerable variation between how different colleges are treating these. And I think this has potential to be quite different from what we've been experiencing post-COVID. So thank you for your concerns. Any other concerns for Committee of the Whole? Oh, sorry, Clint, I did see you and then I forgot about your hand being raised. So Senator McGill.
Yeah, I have to leave pretty quick to take my wife for a she broke her collarbone this week. But anyway, I was just astounded at the arrogance of whoever it was from the Board of Regents. I couldn't go to that meeting either, based on ignorance, to talk about the way they did about they knew better than we did of what should go on. And I suspect that argument's going to come up again, but I think we have to start someplace with the provost or somebody to get things sort of figured out somehow. And the very least we should do, I think, is to pass any courses that think they can make it, no matter what the rules are. But they're, it's pretty obvious last time there was a lot of unhappy folks about the things that were going on, and without any really involvement of the faculty. So that's all. I wish I could stay for the whole thing.
Thank you, Senator McGill. I think there's a lot of concerns about what transpired on Thursday, and a number of faculty stated our opposition to it. I think Senator Arave has, sorry, Raimundo.
Yeah, fine. One day.
Please go ahead, Raimundo.
Yes. So I want to second what Clint mentioned, and I think that, to me, one of the biggest issues that I see with this whole business is, if the Board of Regents is now in charge of curricular, instruction in the university, then what is the purpose of the faculty? It seems to me that from now on, any program or certificate that we create will have to go all the way through the Board of Regents for approval, which is dramatically different from the way we have been doing things in the past. And, my position is that it seems to me, and by the way, Texas A&M is not the only university where this is happening. This is happening across the board. It's not only in public universities, it's also happening in private universities. We faculty are not that powerful. The Faculty Senate is advisory, we always serve in an advisory capacity. We don't have a final say on anything in the university. But I would like to think that instruction is the thing that, we're qualified for, and that we, and it's definitely our most important mission that we provide to our students. If the administration doesn't see our job as important enough, and if the administration thinks that they are better equipped than us to make these decisions, why do we provide all this advisory service to the university, right? We're advising the university in all kinds of matters, but apparently, we're not really qualified, not even to do the stuff that supposedly we have PhDs and higher degrees for. So I am really concerned about where this is going, but at the same time, I just want to say that, if the administration really wants to handle all things curricular, that's fine with me, right? There are less committees to attend, and, they're welcome to try and handle the thousands of the thousands of courses that we offer every semester, right? This is really upsetting. I don't know what, this is going to mean for the Senate, but I think that we are at a point where we should really question whether, having a body like the Faculty Senate is of any use for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Arroyo-Yafe. So before I turn, any other comments, questions for Committee of the Whole? I have one I would like to make before I turn it back over to our ups. So Matthew Sachs raised his hand. So go ahead, Matthew.
Yes, thank you. My very simple question is, what will happen with the revision of the rule or policy, System Policy 11.09? Is the Faculty Senate going to have a role in the revision that was proposed by the board? And actually, there is a second follow-up question. The board also asked, and it's outside of A&M College Station, the other system institutions promptly initiate a review. And that sounds to me as if they want that review to occur before possibly this new 11.09 revision occurs. So my questions really are, what is the plan for those things, most specifically for the revision of the rule for how we evaluate minors and certificate programs for productivity? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Sachs. I presume we are going to be asking the administration those exact questions. So I would just like to, before I turn it over again to Speaker Hill-Price, to say I'd like to reiterate what Claire Katz said. If you have not had a chance to watch the Senate testimony today, I think you should. It will give you a pretty good idea of what the political climate in which the Senate finds themselves acting is. And I would just have a couple other things to say. So I'd like to say, I think last Thursday was a difficult time for our Senate, our faculty, at least a subset of our student body, and our university as a whole. We as a Senate must remember and demonstrate through our actions that this body is committed to the success of our university and the careers and well-being of our students. I know that many in this body are frustrated with the outcomes of recent events, but I think it is important that we focus on the processes and demonstrate as faculty our abilities to be good caretakers of the curriculum that instructs our students and prepares them for success as tomorrow's leaders. And I think if you watch the testimony, you may understand why I'm saying those things. But to Raimundo, we certainly hear your concerns too about what is the role of faculty in managing the curriculum of an R1 AAU university. There's nothing else. I will turn the meeting back over to Speaker Angie Hill-Price.
Howdy. So I took off this morning, personal leave, so that I could go testify to the Higher Education Subcommittee of the Texas Senate and to speak with them to share my views on faculty senates, and I'm going to share those in a moment with you. It was an interesting conversation. I hope that you do watch that. There were a number of voices that expressed that they believe that the boards of regents are responsible for all the curriculum at institutions across the state, and that they would decide what is going to be taught in the curriculum. There was an interesting number of questions about votes of no confidence and what that meant. And in reality, a vote of no confidence is simply that expression of no confidence, and it depends on the listener as to whether they give any weight to that or not. So there was just it was very interesting listening to the testimony. The Speaker of the Faculty Senate of Texas A&M University was mentioned multiple times. Surprise. But when I went to offer my public private citizen testimony and did state that I was the Speaker of the Faculty Senate, they didn't actually have any questions for me. So I guess they had all their questions answered. But I stand ready to answer any questions that they may have or to be able to help with them. So I wanted to read this too, to you all, to all of you, to see what we're trying to do. Because this was about process, and this was something I want to reiterate. This was about a process that was poorly planned, poorly developed, had no real faculty input on, did not listen to the experts in the area, did not take into account that a certificate from the coordinating board definition must have 5 years as a new certificate to become developed, that anything that supports a student's degree program should have 5 years in this, that there was a lot of misunderstanding and lack of knowledge from administrators understanding how we advise our students, and that we often advise them not to declare their minors until they're close to graduation. So there was a lot of disconnects across our campus and understanding actually what we do from an academic enterprise. And so it is up to us to help inform those decision makers so that they can understand what we do and what the Higher Education Coordinating Board requirements are. So let me read this to you. First of all, let's introduce myself, so I won't say it again. I'm speaking today as a private citizen. I'm employed as an associate professor, and I'm also the Speaker of the Faculty Senate, Texas A&M. I also said Happy Veterans Day, and Happy Veterans Day to any of our senators who were in service or who have served. Thank you very much for your service. It's been my great privilege through my 33 years at Texas A&M to teach many men and women who have commissioned as officers in our armed forces. Along with my colleagues, we take great pride in preparing our students for careers in the military, national security, and the intelligence community, and many other careers beyond of high value and high impact. Those words were quite important today. The Faculty Senate at Texas A&M University is advisory to the President. All coursework, majors, minors, certificates, any curricular item must be approved by the President. We don't offer anything that has not been approved by our President, by a President. The Senate serves as a structural means for all faculty to provide input, share subject matter expertise, as well as review curricular items on an institutional level to prevent duplication and to help coordinate between faculty on interdisciplinary opportunities. We serve as a sounding board for the President on any initiatives for the university. That is shared governance. We advise through a formalized and structured manner to ensure the President has all the best information on which to base his decisions. Through the Faculty Senate, we serve as an eager team member with the university leadership in the advancement of knowledge and scholarship on behalf of and in service to all Texans. The Faculty Senate serves as a conduit for all faculty to bring their expertise to bear on the biggest challenges facing our institution, the state, and the nation. I believe that the Texas A&M Faculty Senate Constitution and bylaws serve as a model of shared governance. As a representative structure, we engage faculty at every rank, academic professional track, tenured, including faculty who also have administrative appointments. Any can be elected by their peers in every college and school across the university. And what I didn't get to, because I ran out of my 2 minutes, was to quote from our Constitution, and I want to do that here today to remind us of why we do this. A university's foundation is its faculty. Therein lies the knowledge, the commitment to learning, and the source of constructive progress upon which universities rest. The interest of students, scholarship, and society are best served when the faculty brings its special talents to bear through cooperative participation in shared governance. So that is what I shared, list that last paragraph, but I did also provide in written testimony some information that our executive committee helped me put together, and I'll put that on our Faculty Senate website as well as copies of our Constitution and bylaws so that they can understand how we're organized. But we truly do advise the President. And we truly, I believe, all of us want for him to be successful and our university be successful. So with that, does anybody have any questions for me?
Where can we watch the recording?
I believe we can put a link to the information once it gets posted, once it gets finalized. We can put that on our website for sure. Thank you. It was really interesting, and I do think it's important to listen to the concerns that people raise. There is a lot of disconnect. We need to do a good job of explaining when we are given the opportunity of what we do and why we care. Because I do believe that every single one of our faculty care passionately about what we do and care about our students. Our students who are adults with agency, many of whom are taxpayers, who would like to be able to have control over their lives and choose what they learn. Any other questions? Raimundo, I see you raised your hand, and I've got Deb at the, so go ahead.
Yeah, the
Raimundo.
Banerjee Engineering, just a curiosity, were there other universities represented at this hearing? And I'm kind of curious what their viewpoints were.
Yeah, so on the panel that was asked to testify specifically about faculty senates, our president was there, the president of the University of Texas was there, and then the president of the faculty senate from the University of Houston was there. And so she answered a lot of questions and explained very well about how faculty senates work. Theirs is structured differently than ours. I thought it was interesting that people were thought that it was interesting that we had a large number of senators, that they thought we had, expressed shock that there was 120 at our institution, but 115, I believe, or 140, sorry, at U of H. So some of the panel members thought that was surprising. So again, I think watching the testimony yourself can be very helpful. Raimundo, did you have a question?
I expressed my concern earlier to Andrew and the Senate. I think that the question that I have is, where do we go next, based on the fact that, clearly on this very important occasion, our opinion as experts on instruction was not accounted for. I'm really concerned that the Board of Regents abrogated, they implicitly stated that they knew better the business of, curriculum design and certificates and minors than the faculty, when clearly there were a lot of things that they didn't know and they were not aware of. And through their actions, they're gonna result in complications for us when it comes to, certification and our interaction with accreditation bodies across the board. That is a significant matter of concern to me. So those are my questions. And the other thing that I wanted to say is just to praise your leadership, Angie. I think that this has been, last period was extremely difficult, but I think that this one is perhaps even more difficult than last year, for all the reasons that are, for all the stuff that is happening and that will likely happen. And I really like to thank you for your leadership and for very clearly trying to explain what it is that we do as faculty in general and as members of the Faculty Senate in particular. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Raimundo. And I don't know what we're going to do next. I think we still have to continue to educate as many people as possible about what we do and the resources that we can bring to bear to support the university. And those conversations have to continue, because I think that it's important for people to understand, again, the concerns that we have with the process and the issues that are there, particularly as other institutions in the system are going to be developing a process at their own institutions. Katrina?
But Arts and Sciences, thanks, Speaker Hill-Price, for going and doing that and for defending us vigorously, and the tireless work that I know that you've been doing over the last few weeks. It's shown on your face, but it hasn't stopped you from moving forward and supporting us and the mission of Texas A&M. My question is more logistical. Following this meeting today and the public testimony, where does it go? What is the process at the state level? When will they then maybe put a resolution down? When will they make a decision or discuss or whatever? What is our timeline? And so how much time do we have as a Senate to think about what happened today and think about what happened last week and think about what happened last Faculty Senate meeting?
Sure. So my understanding is that today is the first day when the legislature can start filing bills. And so there will likely be a number of them that get filed for many different topics across the state. And so it's really kind of seeing what gets billed, what gets filed, and what we, how we can provide information to help inform those who are writing those or making decisions on those. So trying really hard to, again, take the educational approach to let people understand what it is that we do and what we don't do. And again, the president is the president of the university. He can do what he wants. Then we know that. So, but right now it's going to be waiting to see what gets filed.
In as far as them putting a motion up, like the Board of Regents put a motion up, they put this resolution forth. We had a week or whatever to review it, and then there was the meeting and they voted on it and it was a done deal. Is that going to happen in a week or in a month, or how long have we got to help this education process and strategize?
Well, they can start filing bills now, but the session, the legislature doesn't go into session quite yet. So once they do, then there'll be negotiations. I don't know what the timeline might be. It depends on what all goes out there. And so we're definitely, our Legislative Affairs Committee is certainly watching that to, again, be prepared to provide information as much as we can. Go ahead, because you're going to fix things for me.
Dale Rice, College of Arts and Sciences. And in a past life, I was a Capitol Bureau Chief in Austin. So the answer to the question is, you can file bills now, but the legislature doesn't convene until January. And in the first 60 days of the legislature, only things that have been deemed an emergency by the governor get even brought to the floor. So under normal circumstances, things like a bill dealing with the faculty senate would come up sometime after mid-March, maybe April or May. And a lot of it depends on whether it gets assigned to a favorable committee that's going to send it onto the floor, or whether it gets assigned to a committee that's just going to let it sit there and it will never go anywhere.
Well, and again, I just want to make sure that people have as much information as possible so that they can make educated decisions. And so when you listen to the testimony, you might think, oh, they don't necessarily understand all the things that we do. And so that's something, a responsibility on us to make sure that they do have that understanding. Go ahead.
Hi, Sally Robinson from the College of Arts and Sciences. So in the last legislative session, when they were debating questions of tenure, we saw that our upper administration went to bat for us and they were working with the different bodies to try to convince them not to get rid of tenure. And so my question is, are we confident that our upper administration is going to go to bat for us on this question?
Oh, I think if you listen to the testimony, listen to President Welch said about faculty senates. He was quite supportive of our organization and talked about how important we are to what he does. So I have no doubt that he will support our faculty senate.
Thank you.
Anybody online? Okay, well, if we have no more items for the Senate, then I will, oh, we got Raimundo. Where's
Sorry
Raimundo?
again, this is my last question of the day, I promise. But does the general public and members of this committee know what it's like to have a university without a Senate? Because, I mean, we are providing advisory to the president and higher administration. Clearly what we do is valuable, right? The university cannot be run just by, the president, provost, deans, and without faculty input. And my question is, do they really know? I mean, I'm sure that some people may want to get rid of the faculty senate, not at Texas A&M specifically, but across the board. And I wonder, this is kind of like a philosophical question, a rhetorical question. Do they really know what it's like to have a university without this advisory body, right? Should they know, should they be aware of how important the faculty senate across many universities truly is?
Well, and again, that goes back to providing information to people to make sure that we all can articulate the need for a Senate and the benefit of a Senate, and that we can share that information amongst our colleagues, but also anyone in those positions. So it comes from us. No one's going to assume that a faculty senate is needed. We as faculty need to be able to express why that is important, but also our leadership does as well. They're the ones that are going to have to be able to say, we need a faculty senate. Go ahead, Dan.
So like Raimundo, I have last question. So do we have any proactive strategy, to deal with these recent developments? So for example, I can think of the Legislative Affairs Committee can be a little bit more proactive and be a little bit more, how do I say, outward looking, and maybe invite senators or congressmen and preach to them as to what we do and what value we bring to the table, both in terms of faculty senate as well as, faculty activities maybe.
Well, so the Legislative Affairs Committee does interact with our government relations people quite a bit, as you recall. And we have invited people to campus before, and we continue to do so. So we've never turned down any legislator who wants to know. We provide information proactively to them. So that all has always been an ongoing effort from the Senate. The challenge is getting them to come, because particularly as they go into session in January, this is what they're going to be very focused on. So, but trying to make those connections is quite important for sure.
So, but do we have like a proactive strategy that we want to formulate?
Well, that's what the Legislative Affairs Committee has been working on.
Okay, so can we hear what the strategy is
Well, I
sometime
haven't
later on?
finished yet, but part of it is engaging with our government relations membership or leadership there to understand the different legislators who are involved, to understand what their concerns are. They're talking to staffers and providing that information to us. We share back the concerns from the faculty, any documentation that we have, all the issues that came up, obviously, with our regents. All that goes back to our government relations people, because they interact with different people in the Capitol. And so making sure that they have robust information whenever they get a question would be very helpful to them.
And if I could make a suggestion, I know not me personally, but there are members of the Faculty Senate who might be more effective in recruiting, so to speak, congressmen and senators to come speak to the Legislative Affairs Committee. So my suggestion is to leverage those resources we have internally who may not be part of the committee, so to speak.
Of course, yes. If any of the senators have, or our faculty as they were watching us are engaged, if they have someone that they think they would like to help make connections with, absolutely, let's talk, for sure. And I'm sure that's across the whole university too. Anybody else? All right, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor, rise. All right, bye. Thank you very much.